Well, it's first of all, my pleasure and a distinct honor to be speaking with such a wide audience and such an a critical sort of part of our talent pool across various generations. So thank you so much for offering the opportunity to me. What I thought I could do today is engage with you and walk you through a little bit, from coming from an industrial smart manufacturing point of view, the impact of data and how the power of data science is enabling us to reimagine manufacturing altogether. In many ways, it's going to be building up on what Dr. Jha has already taken us through. Before I get started, I'll probably spend half a minute to share a little bit about my own background, where I'm coming from. I work for Rockwell Automation. Rockwell Automation is a global leader in industrial automation and information. Our mission is to bring the connected enterprise to life. We're helping industrial companies and their employees to become more productive. Today, I'll be using, a lot of our knowledge and expertise from our Calypso business. And Calypso is basically our digital practice. Through Calypso, Rockwell Automation actually delivers digital transformations to a wide array of customers across the globe. And there's a lot of expertise all the way from consulting, data science, technology, and of course, managed services across a varied set of industries, which are as diverse as life sciences, consumer, industrial, high tech, that covers a vast majority of industries like metal mining, cement, oil and gas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So without any further ado, let me just dive in today into what's going on in the world around us, particularly in the context of manufacturing. There's a whole lot going on, and as if that transformation was not enough, we've seen in the last 18 months or thereabouts, another one step change in the need for transformation, which was triggered by the pandemic and our response to the pandemic, right? So there are a couple of things that are going on. One is the conventional expectations out of manufacturers, they all stay there. The need to continue to become more productive, the need to become more efficient in terms of resource utilization, reduce quality defects, et cetera, all of those factors stay there. They're there, and they are expectations. Each year we have to push the envelope and continue doing things in a better way. But the market trends, the trends in the marketplace are changing very, very rapidly, driven by consumer demands. Consumers like us, we are becoming very, very demanding. The manner in which we are consuming, the manner in which our demands are being fulfilled, without even stepping out of our homes, we can get the entire world on a click, right? Choice-wise, that is. And that's placing an enormous amount of burden on manufacturers, all the way from car makers to people who are making yogurts, or people who may be making drugs and pills, etc. This is having a direct impact on them. At the same time, there is an enormous amount of impact that's happened because of supply chain and labor-related discontinuities that we witnessed in the last 12, 18 months. Some of these trends are going to linger. Some of these trends, boards and business leaders are demanding their organizations to demonstrate their resilience, right? At the same time, the sustainability-related expectations have gone from here to here, meaning we are witnessing the impact of climate change, and businesses are being challenged to demonstrate their commitment to make a positive impact in that direction. So it's all of the conventional responses of manufacturers are going to be falling very short in terms of creating a response and demonstrating global level competitiveness for manufacturing businesses, particularly in the context of India, unless and until we completely reimagine manufacturing, which is where Industry 4.0 and technology-enabled innovation is playing a very big role. I think this whole idea, the notion of digital transformation, is affording to manufacturers a degree of freedom that was previously not available, right? It's opening up possibilities that we did not even consider to be choices, but now they are not just choices, but they are very real. And all of it is being enabled by these digital technologies, the foundation of which is data. And that's going to be one part of, that's going to be the aspect that I'm going to be exploring with you all today. So just moving on, if what we are talking about is data, all of us have been hearing about data being the new oil, or whichever simile or whichever parallel the version of it that you've heard about. I want to just spend a minute before I get started to explore this with you. Of course, data is very important. Of course, fact-based decision-making is something that we've been practicing in organizations for decades and decades. That's the reason you have hierarchies of management, and they all believe that they're acting on precise information and insights that are coming, from various parts of their business and enterprise. But if you really analyze, even in organizations that have enterprise-wide business systems, today, even in many of those organizations, what really happens is business leaders at multiple levels, who are making decisions. You're making decisions not only because you're a CEO, you're making decisions while you're a supervisor in a plant, or you're a line side operator. Each one of them is making decisions. But the graphic on the left-hand side on the screens in front of you actually captures what is commonly the as-is state, where decisions are being made in the organizations on the basis of historical data in a very hierarchically organized manner, right? You have shift reports, and you have monthly reports, and you have management information reports, which are all communicated digitally in very compelling visual manner, right? But essentially, they're based off of information which, when it is produced, begins to become stale, right? The as-is scenario, which is becoming very important, particularly in these times when the decision-making time windows are shrinking, is the scenario that's on the right-hand side, which is where organizations are transitioning to making decisions on transparent, real-time data. That's the data thread that connects the entire organization together. And if there's a change, that change appropriately in an appropriate manner to respective consumers across the organization gets relayed. The entire organization in that scenario gets connected through one version of truth, right? And you can actually rewire yourself in response to stimuli that are coming from the external world, or the internal realities as it might happen. For example, if a portion of your plant suddenly goes down, how do you readjust those things? And what impacts does it have, downstream in your organization, et cetera, right? An instance of transparent live data allows you to achieve those things. Those organizations are more agile, and they hence are much more competitive. They are even more competitive in a scenario where you begin to assume that the time constants are shrinking, and shrinking very rapidly. So I'll just leave it at that. I wanted to talk about the, imagining data and data in its right context, right, being a key differentiator and a competitive advantage. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll move on. So today I'm going to be, Dr. Jha spoke about, a set of use cases which are very common. I'm going to explore another end of the industry, which is more process oriented, just to throw in some diversity for this audience, right? Now, what does digital mean to industry, particularly industries like process heavy industries at large, right? I think it's very important for us to demystify and take the jargon out, right? And there are going to be a few of these aspects that I'll try and explore with you in the available time today. I think I'd like to begin by, first of all, stating that the world that we live in, that world is an analog world, right? All of the things that happen around us, they're analog things. That's how even processes and plants function. That's how machines function. It's analog, right? Our own perception of the world also is very analog, right? It's not that you say, yeah, I mean, a light is on or light is off is digital, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's not that you see something in an on-off state, but at the same time, when you try and bring in the impact of digital technologies, which I'll be diving deeper into, digital offers a very new way for us to visualize and analyze the world, uh, you know, opening up several new lenses and new vistas, which enriches your experience and actually augments your capabilities to make better decisions faster, right? And that's what is at the core of this, right? So I would say that even if the world around us is analog, but we are now living in the digital analog world simultaneously, and that is heightening our experience, and that is also amplifying our capabilities to make a much bigger impact as individuals and as organizations, right? So when we talk about industry, and if you look at plants, uh, any organization, for the organization to begin to operate at a higher level, you cannot just imagine that we'll infuse new technology and suddenly the operating capacity or the overall organizational impact increases. The reason for that is you not only have to improve technology, but at the same time, you got to be improving processes, and you also have to create an impact on your workforce, which is of an even scale, right? So it's technology, processes, and people, and then you have to really have a end-to-end view of your organization, all the way from design to where you manufacture inside your plant, and of course taking into account the workflow elements, right? And when you reimagine your all three aspects of this under the people, processes, and technology dimensions in the digital realm, and if you're able to actually imagine a future state, that's when you're able to really create a game-changing impact in your business. And those are some of the things that we'll talk about today. So when we talk about digital transformation, there's this notion of digital thread. A digital thread, exactly what it is. Digital thread basically is a seamless flow of data, as you see over here, that connects the business processes across your value chain, right? And you can break it up into 4 phases or 4 parts, which is discover, create, make, and sell. Now, no matter which industry you belong to, that's usually the life cycle. That's how you begin to add value. It could be a discrete industry, it could be a process-heavy industry, it could be chemical, right? You discover, which is could be a rough, surrogate for R&D or whatever else, and then you actually create. You may be creating it in the digital realm, right? And then you make, that's manufacturing, and then you eventually sell, and that's your supply chain, et cetera, right? Now, if you have a common seamless flow of data that interconnects all 4 parts of this, that's your entire enterprise. That's the digital thread, right? And that enables you to have the kind of impact that we've been talking about. And some of these things that I've noted here at the bottom of the screen here for you, right? Capture the impact that you would be able to create. Digital integration, across the silos that we've seen, right? What have operated as islands or silos within the organization can actually be effectively connected, and you can unlock a lot of value because you'll be able to connect it in a seamless manner. And when I was talking about the instance of live transparent data, you can very easily imagine that by creating this digital thread, right? Now, if that is the digital thread, right, digital affords you to do many things which are not possible in the physical realm, or at least are extremely hard and difficult to realize in the physical realm, right? And digital twin is one such example. What I mean by a digital twin essentially is, digital twin is, as I've noted over here, it's a superior representation of a physical entity or a system, right? Essentially what you do is, by taking, in the context of industry or manufacturing, taking the engineering designs and blending that with the live streaming real data, you're able to literally simulate or emulate the entity or the model. And there are 5 different kinds of examples that are noted over here at the bottom of the screen, right? But you're able to literally realize that in the virtual realm. Now you may ask, what value do you get out of that? Enormous. The value is that you can carry out simulations in the virtual realm, which would be very, very hard or sometimes outrightly dangerous to do on a running plant, right? You may have tens of digital twins or 100 digital twins across your digital thread, right? But each one of them literally is a replica of a physical entity or a process, right? That is there in the physical plant. And you may imagine that there is imagine a bioreactor, and you have digital twin of a bioreactor, which is doing everything. If it's a high fidelity representation or replication of the real thing, we've been able to achieve that. And in many instances, we are getting there where we are very close to the real thing. If you're able to build that high fidelity digital twin, you can easily almost predict the response of the system to a stimulus, to changes, right? And when you're able to do that, you can analyze whether the response that you're getting from the system is acceptable to you or not. And if it is, then by all means, go ahead and carry out that change, right? And you make that change as the operator or as a supervisor who may be authorizing it. You do that with full confidence. So it is enabling you to make better decisions faster. That was the comment I was making earlier. Another manifestation of that in the real world is in continuous industries, what used to, or in chemical industries as such, what used to previously happen, or take the example of life sciences pharmaceuticals, you would have the design teams working on bench scale experimentation that they'll prove, and then it'll go on to a pilot plant, and then if the pilot is giving good results, then you would actually take it for full-scale commercialization or manufacturing, right? If you have a high-fidelity digital twin, you could actually straight away skip that stage of piloting, and people are doing that. So that is faster time to market, right? You're saving sometimes a few years to get to commercialization. So that is competitive advantage, right? And that's happening because you're blending in these digital technologies into conventional industries which are decades old. So, I can go on a few more examples, different end of the spectrum, utilizing 3D data to simulate or to project onto real life equipments, digital information that augments the capacity of operators. Again, it allows them to make decisions in a much more, with a lot greater confidence, and again, making better decisions faster, right? So I could probably spend some more time in case you have questions, exploring this aspect further. But I do want to quickly talk about, the realization of IoT in the industrial sense. Everyone has heard about IoT. We all actually are experiencing it in our daily lives with their, wearables and whatever things we have in our homes increasingly. But the industrial Internet of Things is a real deal. And it is game-changing. It's creating a huge impact because sensorization is allowing you to get information out of your processes which you previously did not have. And this information, which is seamlessly flowing in, streaming in practically in real time, it's not that information was not available. Instrumentation has been used by industry for decades. But, the manner in which the cost of sensors and the ease with which IoT is integrating a vast majority of things which are not just industrial instruments, but a vast majority of other things that are listed down over there, that's creating an enormous advantage because contextualized data of this nature allows you to create superior models. So that allows you to create better digital twins and have that digital thread easily realized, right? And before I wrap this up, I thought it is very, very important to also, in the industrial context, bring out this dimension of people, right? You have to have a human-centered approach that recognizes that there is human behavior that is involved. So there is a change that is happening, and that change is unless and until business leaders and everyone in their individual capacities commit themselves to that change, that can actually undermine the efforts of this transformation that we are trying to cause to go to a data-backed, a fact-based, world. It's a cultural shift. And to be able to achieve that without too many surprises, one needs to recognize that we have to factor in the human element again. So in the interest of time, I'll wrap it up over here, but before the segment is over, I'll be happy to take any questions. Thank you so much.